Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's council meeting for Monday, the 11th of July for 6 p.m. We'll start off the meeting with the opening affirmation and acknowledgement of country. We gather to represent the people of Albury who have entrusted us with this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, wisdom and common sense. May our personal values give us honesty and courage to serve our community effectively and with respect for all. We would also like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people as the traditional custodians of the land that we meet upon today and pay our respects to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, culture, tradition and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that contribute to our community. This council meeting is being webcast and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to being recorded and webcast. Please ensure that if and when you are speaking at this council meeting, that you are respectful to other people and use appropriate language. Albury City accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this council meeting. An audio recording will be made for administrative purposes. Item CM3 on the agenda, conflict of interest declarations received by the Chair and disclosure of political donations. Mr Deputy CEO.
Thank you, Mayor King. The Environment Planning and Assessment Act 1979, section 10.4 requires a person submitting a planning application or submission regarding a planning application to disclose any reportable political donations and or gifts to any local councillor or employee of council. Reportable political donations include those of or above $1,000. The disclosure statement forms are available on council's website or from the Customer Service Centre and must be lodged in accordance with the Act. The forms are also available at the back of the chamber during the meeting. In dealing with development applications, councillors need to take into account specific planning matters contained in the Environment Planning and Assessment Act 1979. Accordingly, the provisions of section 4.15.1 of that Act are set out in the Council Officer's report detailing planning issues to be considered. The Local Government Act 1993, section 375A requires that a division be called whenever a motion for a planning decision is put at a meeting of the council. Planning decisions mean a decision made in the exercise of the function of council under the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979, including a decision relating to a development application, an environmental planning instrument, a development control plan, or a development contribution plan under that Act, but not including the making of an order under section 9.3 of part 9 of that Act.
Thank you. Item CM4, apologies. CM 4.1. Does someone care to move and second an apology that has come up late? Thank you. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor King. I'd like to move that the council receive, note and accept the apology of Councillor Cameron and grant leave of absence for the meeting.
Councillor Thurley.
Second the motion, Madam Mayor King.
Thank you, Councillor Thurley. I'm assuming you don't need to speak to that. So those for, those against, the motion is carried. Thank you. Item CM 4.2, attendance by councillors at meeting by audio-visual link. Councillor Betteridge.
You through Mayor King, I'd like to move that council receive, note and accept the attendance by Councillor Glacken via audio-visual link, Zoom, for the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Bowen.
I'd like to second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item CM5, mayoral minute. There is no mayoral minute. CM6, action plans. Councillor Thurley.
Thank you, Mayor King. I move the following action plans be received and noted. 1, actions complete for noting only. 2, actions awaiting response from external parties. 3, actions in progress. And 4, long-term issues more than 3 months.
Councillor Betteridge,
Happy to second. Thank you.
happy to second that. Councillor Thurley, do you wish to speak to that at all? Councillors, does anyone wish to ask any questions or discussions in relation to those action plans? If not, Councillor Thurley, happy to put the motion.
Yes.
Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM7, confirmation of minutes of previous meetings. CM 7.1, minutes of the council meeting held on Monday, the 27th of June, 2022 at 6:12 p.m. Councillor Bowen.
I'd like to move that the minutes for the council meeting held on Monday, the 27th of June, 2022 at 6:12 p.m. be confirmed.
Councillor Betteridge.
Happy to second, Mayor King.
Given it's procedural, happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item CM8, reports from community forums. CM 8.1, report from community forum held on Monday, the 6th of June, 2022. Development application 10.2021.38929.1, 557 Thaguna Street, and development application 10.2021.38949.1, 698 Sackville Street. Councillor Thurley.
Thank you, Mayor King. I move that Council receives and notes the report from the community forum held on Monday, the 6th of June, 2022 regarding development application 10.2021.38929.1, 6-story residential flat building comprising 22 apartments, 557 Thaguna Street, Albury, and development application 10.2021.38949.1, childcare centre 688 Sackville Street, Albury.
Councillor Betteridge.
To second, Mayor King.
Thank you. Councillor Thurley, happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM9, notices of motion or notices of rescission. There are none. CM10, presentations and deputations. There are none. CM11, reports or minutes of committees and working parties. CM 11.1, minutes of the Sustainability Advisory Committee held on Tuesday, the 14th of June, 2022. Councillor Thurley.
Thank you, Mayor King. I move that council receives, notes and accepts the minutes of the Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 14th of June, 2022 at 3:30 p.m.
Councillor Edwards.
Happy to second the motion, Mayor King.
Councillor Thurley, do you wish to speak
I'll
to the report?
briefly comment, in all my years on the Sustainability Advisory Committee, this would be the most enthusiastic and informed group that we've had. It's a great pleasure to work with them.
Thank you, Councillor Thurley. Happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. CM 11.2, minutes of the local traffic committee meeting held on Thursday, the 16th of June, 2022. Councillor Edwards.
I move that council receives, notes and accepts the minutes of the local traffic committee meeting held on Thursday, the 16th of June, 2022 at 10 a.m.
Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor King. Happy to second the motion.
Councillor Edwards, do you wish to speak to the motion at all?
No, thank you, Mayor King.
In that case, happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thanks, councillors. Item CM 11.3, minutes of the Les O'Brien Athletics Track Advisory Committee held on Thursday, the 16th of June, 2022. Councillor Betteridge.
Through you, Mayor King, I'd like to move that council receives, notes and accepts the minutes of the Les O'Brien Athletics Track Advisory Committee meeting held on Wednesday, the 15th of June, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Councillor Bowen.
And I'd like to second that motion. Thank you.
Councillor Betteridge, do you wish to speak to the motion at all?
No, thank you, Mayor King.
In that case, councillors, happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item CM 12, documents for sealing. CM 12.1, there are none. CM 13, officers' reports for consideration. Item 13.1, sewer rehabilitation program 2021-22, contract number 22/0078 0. Councillor Thurley.
Thank you, Mayor King. I move that Council A accepts the tender from Rangesdale Rehabilitation and Renewals Proprietary Limited for contract number 22/00780, rehabilitation of existing sewer mains for the lump sum cost of $2,860,422.57, including GST. And B, reallocates funding for the annual sewer rehabilitation program as part of future quarterly budget reviews to meet the lump sum costs of $2,860,422.57, including GST for this contract.
Councillor Bettridge.
You, Mayor King, I'd be happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Thurley, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Briefly, once again, I mean, this is a complex matter and always comes with a risk of disrupting households and other operations in the city. But looking through the tender documentation, it looks like we've done a pretty good job of choosing Rangesdale Rehabilitation. And I thank the staff for their work on this one.
Thank you, Councillor Thurley. Councillors, any speakers for or against or questions? In that case, Councillor Thurley, happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item CM 13.2, Lauren Jackson Sports Centre, Stage 2 feasibility scope. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor King. I'd like to move that the council endorses a scope and stakeholder engagement plan for the Stage 2 feasibility of the Lauren Jackson Sports Centre redevelopment.
Councillor Baker.
Second the motion, Mayor King.
Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I do. Thank you, Mayor King. So I'd like to fully support and endorse the Lauren Jackson Sports Stadium Stage 2 development and feasibility. Thanks to the return of the legendary Lauren Jackson playing for the Lady Bandits, basketball locally is having a huge resurgence, with mini hoops registration reaching capacity in 20 minutes of the most recent online registrations opening. I recently attended the basketball and watched many young kids line up to get Lauren's autograph. It's inspiring to see that women's sports events as a draw card in sports and have local sellout matches because of Lauren's mega prowess as one of the best female basketballers of all time globally. It's just so impressive. The Lauren Jackson Sports Stadium is in dire need of an upgrade to its facilities to be competitive on a state and national level, attracting our largest financial stimulus locally from the Country Cup tournament, which is held in January holidays each year, with families travelling and staying, eating and engaging locally. The Lauren Jackson Sports Stadium is also home to other sports such as the volleyball, badminton and netball. The position of Lauren Jackson Sports Stadium has the potential to make East Albury a mecca for sports, with the current upgrades to the Ian Baker Fields for soccer and rugby, excellent hockey Albury-Wodonga Fields, the Les O'Brien Athletics Track, St Pat's Tennis Court and a feasibility into aquatics adjacent to the stadium. Promotion and participation of sports and the importance of our young people and the community to stay active and healthy is imperative for a thriving community. There are currently 1,700 junior basketball members with 80 kids on the Albury basketball waitlist, and this does not include the club's individual waitlists themselves. Stage 2 happening before Stage 1, and we know that's all been in the media recently, will allow 3 additional basketball courts to be functional whilst the remaining 5 could be under construction, meaning that stadium doesn't need to fully close, reducing the impact on the competitions at the Lauren Jackson Sports Stadium. Any movement in this space, be it Stage 1 or 2, is most welcomed. Albury has the potential to attract blockbuster games and meets if we can attract grant funding from state and federal governments to improve, upgrade and implement master plans of this nature.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Was there a question? Councillor Glacken, you have a question.
Thank you. And I just need to juggle something, so I might disappear off the screen as I speak. Whoops, wrong thing. In the report, it refers to the outputs. It's expected that the feasibility study will deliver the following outputs, etc. So facility component brief inclusive of additional sports courts, regional aquatic facility, other infrastructure, new entrants, etc. One of the things that's not articulated there, but I believe is implicit within the documentation and not necessarily confirmed or not necessarily clarified in the report, is the need for learn to swim space. So we've mentioned a number of things in the regional aquatic facility, including 50-metre program and hydrotherapy pools, leisure water component. Can the staff confirm that learn to swim space as well as all year round swimming facilities are included as part of the major investigation to be undertaken?
Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Glacken, and through you, Mayor King. Yes, the swimming component or the aquatics component of the stage 2 feasibility study will include and seek provisions for learn to swim facilities and program pools, etc., as part of the study.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Any follow-ups? Councillor Glacken.
Thank you. Yes, and also, Mr. Glass, can you also confirm that it's implicit that it is all year round? Again, it's just not, I don't think it's articulated in that report that I could find.
Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the follow-up question. And yes, I can confirm through you, Mayor King, that it is implicit that it's all year round.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Anyone speakers for or against? Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to sum up?
Thank you, Mayor King. And just to follow on from Councillor Glacken's comments, that in the report, the stakeholders that will be involved in the consultation process is really comprehensive. And I think the community will embrace that. So thank you.
In that case, councillors, happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Item CM 13.3, Airport Governance Review. Councillor Thurley.
Thank you, Mayor King. I move that Council A receives and notes the report. B endorses the recommendation from the Albury Airport Governance Review as follows. 1, retain council ownership and management of Albury Airport. 2, formally document and endorse an Albury Airport governance framework. 3, enhance reporting systems, processes and protocols. 4, update and enhance Albury Airport User Advisory Committee terms of reference. 5, retain membership of the Albury Airport User Advisory Committee on a volunteer basis. 6, enhance capabilities and skills at all levels of governance. 7, improve visibility and awareness of the Albury Airport governance. 8, develop and adopt a governance maturity model. 9, schedule regular governance reviews. 10, strengthen the integration of strategy, budgeting and operations. 11, establish cross-council coordination governance. And C, receive a further report presenting revised draft terms of reference for the Albury Airport User Advisory Committee and an implementation plan.
Thank you. Councillor Betteridge.
Thank you, Mayor King. Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Thurley, do you wish to speak to the motion?
A comprehensive review of our airport operations, and I'm really pleased that the first item on that statement says retain council ownership and management of Albury Airport. We don't have to go far to see some disastrous airport management around Australia at the moment, and I think we've had a strong operating model there. And strong support from the public that it should remain in council hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thurley. Councillor Edwards.
That's fine. Yes, I'm happy to support this motion. I'm particularly pleased to see that the independent report recommended the retention of council ownership and management of the airport due to the benefits both to council and the community.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, speaker 4.
Yes, thank you, Mayor King. It is important for rural Australians to be connected, firstly, and with the large growth expected between now and 2050 and ever-changing work dynamics, which have more people than ever working from home, are able to relocate from cities to rural communities, such as Albury, placing itself as an attractive place to live and work with easy access to Melbourne and Sydney, and now Brisbane and Adelaide. I've recently travelled on the Albury to Brisbane flight and it was full, and the Albury airport was abuzz with travellers. I would highly recommend this service, and I know it has been reaching near capacity on many of its flights. I hope that the Adelaide route is as successful, and we continue to see Albury Airport as a thriving regional hub and one of Australia's leading rural airports that connects its people, acts as a major regional response centre for climate and medical emergencies, and connects businesses nationally and internationally. The report will assist Albury City Council to support Albury Airport to achieve its strategic vision and growth by continuing to attract grant funding at the local, state and federal levels. We're lucky to have this facility and service that it provides to us in our community. Thank you.
Any other speakers for or against? Councillor Thurley, do you wish to close debate or sum up? In that case, happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. CM 14, Officers' Reports for Noting. CM 14.1, Youth Council Summary Report, March 2022, June 2022. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor King. I'd like to move that the council receive and note the Youth Council achievements as outlined in the Youth Council Summary Report, March 2022 to June 2022.
Councillor Thurley.
Second the motion, Mayor King.
Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I do, Mayor King. I would like to say congratulations on all that the youth team has achieved so far. I look forward to viewing the anti-bullying survey and would be more than happy to distribute this through my educational contacts locally to support such an initiative and to capture data on the impact of bullying on youth and how they seek help. It is also wonderful to see all the youth representing the community at many of the Albury City events, and I look forward to seeing all that is ahead for them. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Another speaker for Councillor Thurley.
Thank you, Mayor King. I just wanted to note that a couple of weeks ago, Councillor Bowen and I went to La Trobe University, and it was about some students doing work on mental health, and the two youth councillors who came acquitted themselves extremely well. It was great to see.
Thank you, Councillor Thurley. Councillor Edwards, speaking for the motion.
Thank you, Mayor King. I'd also like to congratulate the Youth Council on the excellent work that they do and the staff that support them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Thurley, do you wish to close debate? Or happy to? Oh, Callaghan, I was at the wrong item. Sorry, Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to sum up debate? Happy to put the motion. In that case, those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item CM 15, Delegates' Reports for Noting. CM 15.1, Regional Forum and 28th National General Assembly of Local Government. Councillor Baker.
Thanks, Mayor King. I would like to move the recommendation that council receives and notes this report.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Thurley.
Second the motion, Mayor King.
Thank you. Councillor Baker, did you wish to speak to the report at all?
Yes, briefly. And thank you for the report, Mayor King. It's really comprehensive and it sounds like it was a really worthwhile thing to be attending. So thanks on our behalf.
Thank you. No other speakers. Just briefly, I just wanted to really reiterate how eye-opening it was to realise how we do share a lot of the similar problems that other regional councils do, and certainly the regional forum was of particular interest. You know, when you hear professors who've studied the history of research on housing and regional issues say that the housing problems are a crisis 20 years in the making, it really does remind us how crucial this issue is. And he reflects that housing really is an impediment to the growth of the regions, and it can hold back economies and the I guess the investment and the income that comes with that would result in that. So that was one of the standouts that was shared by pretty well everyone that was there. So that was definitely a big one. And I guess the other highlight I just wanted to speak briefly to was in regional Australia, the research, I guess, showing that ageing and younger people coming through really want diversity in housing stock and more affordable and easier to maintain homes. So it is critical that those big blocks are not necessarily the standard, and diversity was certainly mentioned and was a theme that regional Australia needs to think about. So that was a couple of standouts from attending this conference that I was happy to share with you all. So thank you for that. In that case, Councillor Baker, did you wish to sum up or happy to put the motion? Okay. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Notice of urgent business. Councillor Bowen.
Thank you, Mayor King. I'd just like to note, if I may, I had the pleasure of attending Beryl McNichol's 100th birthday celebration on the 2nd of July. She was 100 on the 4th of July, just this week or just last week gone. And the celebrations was absolutely fantastic, reading out letters from the Queen and from the Prime Minister, and also family and friends that travelled from South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. It was a fantastic afternoon. And may I just say that Beryl is sprightly she still lives on her own at 100 and just gets minor support. So it was fantastic to have a conversation with her, a cup of tea with her, and to help her celebrate with her family.
Thank you, Councillor Bowen. CM17, unless there are no other councillors with urgent business, CM17, confidential matters, there are none. So at this stage, I declare the meeting closed at 6:28 p.m. Thank you, councillors.